Bonjour. Le Petit Prince, or The Little Prince, by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Sorry about the glare on the book. This is an absolute classic, very short, easy read. Maybe you have read it in high school or when you were even younger. If you haven't read it as an adult, I really encourage you to. Foundationally, it's about a very heavy topic of suicidal ideation. At least that's the basic platform that the story stands on. Yeah, very, very intense subject. Let me try to tell you the gist of the story. There's a pilot. He crashes his plane in the desert. He then meets a very young boy. The boy is pretty mature and he talks about how he's actually from another planet, a very small planet, where on this planet there is only a single rose, and the rose is his friend, and he just dearly loves the rose. He loves the rose so much that he basically encases her in glass, I believe, and the boy believes that this rose is the only rose in the world, and very small planet. He is able to walk up volcanoes, very small planet. He thinks the universe entirely is this small. He doesn't know about all of the other flowers in existence. So he comes to the pilot's planet, which I assume is Earth, and he makes friends with the pilot. The pilot is trying to figure out a way to get water and ultimately fix his plane. At some point, there is some drawing going on in the story that kind of relates how when adults become adults, they lose touch with certain elements of childhood. Well, duh, right? The veil between the ethereal world, spirit world, creative world is thin when you're a child. And as you become an adult, unless you're very conscious and trying to retain it, you lose touch with that. That is portrayed by an analogy of drawing. The little boy asks the pilot to draw him a sheep. And then the pilot tells the boy of a story when he was young about how he drew an elephant in a bag. And that's the only thing he could really draw. But of course, he didn't draw an elephant that an adult could see. He just drew the shape of the bag. That was the pilot, of course, relating to the little boy. Yes, I once had this creative imagination. Right. So the pilot is still able to connect with that former side of himself, that former creative, wondrous, childlike side of himself. He still retains some of that in his soul. The pilot almost becomes like a father figure, I think, to the boy. The pilot begins to really love the boy and want to keep him safe. But the boy, the little prince, decides that he needs to explore and wander. And in his wanderings, he encounters several different characters. The boy encounters a rose garden, a beautiful rose garden, which a normal person, a normal child, would likely just enjoy. But because this rose garden enlightens him to the fact that his rose on his planet is not the only rose in existence, it makes him very sad. He starts to feel like his rose, his friend, is not special because there are so many roses, and his rose is one of billions. Are there a billion roses in the world? I don't know. But then he makes friends with a fox after seeing the roses, and the fox encourages him to make friends. The fox encourages him that slowly they can get to know one another and they can play with each other, and that at first they will be meaningless to each other because he's just a fox, one of many, and the little prince is just a boy, one of many. But the fox seems to know that the little prince is special, and the fox encourages the boy to repeatedly visit him, so the fox will hear him coming and delight in the anticipation of seeing him, and that they will forge a friendship that will then have meaning, and they won't be strangers. They will take comfort in each other's presence and friendship. He also has a conversation, the little prince, with the fox about his rose and about how his rose is not special, according to to his logic, according to the little prince's logic. The little boy is in a baobab. I believe I'm saying that right. If not, I apologize to all you botanists out there and arborists. The little boy is in a baobab tree. That's a common tree found in this book, baobab trees. He sees a snake. He sees a snake, and the snake calls to him and tries to make friends with him. You know, story as old as time, right? The snake tries to tell him that he can send the prince back to his own planet and his soul can be free. And he can feel peaceful again and not have to worry about all the troubles that go along with this world, right? The snake, of course, makes it seem as if he'd be doing the boy a favor, inviting him. And the boy, at first, is a little reluctant, but then he gets excited at the idea that he can go home, and he's ready to go home. He's ready to go home, or he's at least ready to go be in the stars. He goes back to the pilot, and it's nighttime. The boy shares with the pilot a bit about his desire to go home and find the snake. But before the boy does find the snake, the pilot and the little prince go on a walk through the desert together, looking for water because they're thirsty because it's a desert. And they go on a walk and they trek and they trek and they trek, and they find a fountain of water, and the water is so fresh and it makes them feel invigorated and alive as a fountain would if you are very parched and dehydrated. And in finding that fountain, the boy and the little prince bond even further. They're in this little magical place where the thirst has been quenched. And I believe that's another metaphor. I believe that's a metaphor for love, like sort of paternal child love. Their thirst has been quenched, as in they realize their deep care for each other. Maybe I'm incorrect, but that's my take on it. What is yours? If you've read the book, please do share. So after this deep bonding experience of finding the fountain, they go back to camp, and the pilot, of course, is still trying to fix his plane, and he believes that he almost has it. But somehow the little prince wanders off to find the snake, and he succeeds in finding the snake. And the snake bites him, and this is where I feel like I'm going to cry. And the snake bites him, and then the pilot does go seek him. He tries to stop the little prince in his mind. He has the ambition of trying to find the little prince before the little prince finds the snake, but he's too late. And he finds the little prince in the process of dying. He takes the little prince back to camp, and he holds him. And the little prince, at some point, let the pilot know that if he misses him, he can look into the stars. He'll always be there in the stars, smiling and happy. And if ever the pilot would like to hear his joyful laugh, just to look to the stars, and that's where his laugh will be if he focuses enough. Yes, it's a very moving story. A very sad story. And I'm not articulating myself well today, but I wanted to share this book. Have a great day.